Hey everyone, it's Nadine from Nadine Walks, and it's so good to be back here and talking with all of you. It's been a little while since I have recorded a video here at home. I just got finished posting about my walk on the Sacante trek to Machu Picchu, and I was a little slow getting those videos out. And also a little slow to be back here and recording videos for all of you and talking about the Camino. It's just been a kind of busy time. I'm wrapping up my school year, and this tends to be a busy time of the year anyway, but this year is especially busy and my days have been very full. But I had a little extra time this weekend, and so I wanted to sit and have a conversation here all about the Camino and summer travels. So I had picked up a coffee just a little bit ago. I've got an iced coffee, and I thought, what a nice opportunity to kind of have coffee and a conversation. So this is just going to be a short video, but I do hope to put out several more videos in the next few weeks, kind of going back to the Camino and talking about just different aspects of planning and preparation for the Camino, because we are really deep into Camino season right now. It tends to start up in the spring, always in April. I just see and hear about reports from so many pilgrims on the trail. And so April, May, June, I know a lot of people are out there walking, and that there are still people and pilgrims planning their trips for the summer and certainly the fall. So I think it would be great to come back and talk about just several different topics. I've got a whole list of ideas. But I think for today's video, I just wanted to do a little update and say hello. There are actually a couple of Camino related things that I wanted to sort of update on. The first one is that I was a guest on Dave Whitson's podcast, and this isn't something that I ended up kind of advertising or talking about too much, so I thought it would be a nice chance to just kind of mention it here. So Dave Whitson is a pilgrim. He has hiked so many different Caminos. He's also done a ton of other long distance hikes around the world, but he's really a Camino expert, and he has written a couple guidebooks, and I have a series of guidebooks actually. I have a few of them. I got his Norte guide for my second Camino back in 2015 when I had no idea who he was, but I think in the years since I've just seen his name come up, as you kind of do when someone's super into the Camino. You tend to kind of see them around a lot, whether it's on the forums or Facebook groups. So I've kind of been familiar with who he is for a while. And he has a podcast. It's called the Camino Podcast. And he reached out to me and asked if I would be a guest. So one thing that he's been doing is he's picked different Caminos and has kind of focused on a route and has brought in guests to talk about a section of the route. So he kind of goes section to section, interviewing some pilgrims about their experience. And then he also tries to bring in an expert to kind of touch on the cultural and historical aspects of that section of the walk. And so he just started a series on the Camino Primitivo, and I was a guest to talk about that first chunk between Oviedo and Tineo. And so I just had a lot of fun talking with him. It was really kind of nice to meet him after kind of being familiar with who he was and having heard his name for so many years, and just really fun to talk about the Camino. So it's all linked to the episode in the description of this video, but if you want to look for it, it's called the Camino Podcast, and I think I am episode number 78, but you can just look for the first in the series of the Camino Primitivo. Otherwise, another thing that's kind of been filling up in a really great way some of my extra time is that I've really been doing a lot with my local chapter of our American Pilgrims on the Camino group. And the American Pilgrims on the Camino is a national organization, and there are chapters all throughout the United States. I think there's probably maybe 60 chapters or so. And I've been part of my own local chapter for probably 9 years at this point. And, in some years I do more with the group, some years a little bit less. And in the fall, I think I really kind of made a commitment to trying to lead more hikes myself and just kind of have regular meetups for our group. And it's been a lot of fun because we really kind of almost restarted the group up again, and we've got a lot of people coming to our hikes and our events, and it's a nice mix of some members who I've known for years who have become my friends, and then always a few new members are at every meetup that we do. And so it's just been great to be able to go out on hikes and get a bite to eat and check out new areas and just have these great conversations with people who have walked Caminos and who are planning a Camino, and just to kind of keep that Camino spirit going in my day-to-day life, which is something that at times is hard to do. So kind of again, thinking about the Camino, and as we're wrapping up spring and heading into summer, this is always the time of year when I really am going into my Camino season, right? My own personal Camino season. But this year, while I am going back to Europe, and I'm very excited to be going back to Europe this summer, most of my time is going to be spent walking on a non-Camino route. So I have decided to go to Norway, and I'm going to be hiking one of the St. Olav ways. And St. Olav is a saint that is supposedly buried at the cathedral in Trondheim. And there are ancient pilgrimage routes that all kind of lead throughout Norway, but also Sweden and Denmark, all leading toward Trondheim. And I'm going to be hiking kind of the most popular trail, which is called the Gudbrandsdalsleden. I am sure I'm pronouncing that totally wrong, but that is the trail that starts in Oslo and goes to Trondheim, and I think it's about 643 kilometers. So it should take me a little under a month to do. And I'm really excited about it. So it is a pilgrimage route, though it is not the Camino, but it is a long distance hike, and I'll be staying in places like rooms in old farmhouses and little huts, and there is like a network of lodging for pilgrims. It's not as extensive as the Camino, and a lot of people do bring a tent and camping equipment. I'm going to try to go without a tent and see how it works. I know this is going to be a more expensive trip than my Caminos usually are. So my goal is to do the whole thing. But I think when I get there, if I find that I am spending a lot of money, I might just take a bus or a train and skip over some parts. But I do want to try to arrive in Trondheim if I can at the cathedral there. So I'm really excited for this. This is a trip that I kind of started to really look into during the pandemic, and I created different itineraries and really dug into it then. And so it's sort of really been on my list for the last few years. And I think when I was planning out my summer, I initially thought, I'll go back and do a Camino, of course, because it's kind of what I always do. But I think when I took my spring trip to Peru, I just felt so energized by being in a new place and walking down a different path and just getting to know a different culture, that when I was thinking about the summer, I really felt drawn to going somewhere new. So I was going back and forth a lot, but I have decided on Norway, and I'm really excited. But I am gonna have a little time after that trek, and I hope to fit in a Camino. So as long as my body's healthy and I still have energy after I hike in Norway, I'm gonna hop down to either France or Spain, maybe even Portugal, and do a bit of a Camino. So please stay tuned for that as well, because if you're like, I'm only here for Camino content, I don't care about other long distance hikes, I am going to be posting videos from Norway, but just know that there will be a new Camino, or maybe it's actually a repeat for me, or a new one. I haven't decided yet which Camino I'm going to try to do this summer, but just know there will be some Camino content coming soon. And otherwise, I think that's about it for right now. Like I said, I'm going to have a few more videos coming out about just planning for the Camino and just different tips and tricks. And then as ever in the summer, I will try to do a few updates while I'm traveling, but it is challenging for me to actually put the videos together and edit them and post them while I'm out hiking. If I'm able to do a couple, I certainly will. If you want some more kind of in-time updates and to see some photos or videos from the trail, there are going to be a couple ways you can do that. So you can go to my Instagram. It's Nadine Walks, or maybe it's Nadine_walks. In any case, it's going to be kind of linked in the comment section or in the description below. But on Instagram, I do try to post pretty much daily a little write-up of the stage, and I include some photos. And then of course, over on Patreon, I do try to provide little videos that are kind of in real time. At one point my goal was to do that every day, but more realistically, every 2, 3, 4 days, just depending on, Wi-Fi availability and uploading speeds. I do though try to share a little video about the day's walk. So on Patreon, patrons and members do pledge a certain amount per month. And I don't have much free content over there, though there are a few posts that are kind of open to the public. But if you think you want to, follow along in my walks in real time and also kind of support the work that I'm doing, the channel here, the stuff that I'm sharing, that is an awesome way to be able to do it. That's something to consider, but as ever, I am going to be coming back here and sharing the videos and adventures from my summer here on YouTube as well, and that is open to everyone. So that's the update for now. I hope everyone is doing well. In the comments, please share what your summer adventures are going to be, whether that is on a path or a trail or a country far from home, or if it's a little bit closer to home or in your backyard. In any case, share what your adventures are because I'd love to hear all about them. And in the meantime, I am going to get out on another walk today because I'm trying to really train for these summer adventures, but I will be back soon. Buen Camino.